This is Dana, your manager for Final Expense Telesales at Tailored Legacy. And joining me today, we have Bianca Towns, one of our newest agents to join our team. Hi, Bianca.
Hi, good morning.
Thanks for joining me today. I've been super excited to interview you so everybody can, hear what you're doing to be so successful. We have a lot of things I want to talk about today, but first, I always want people to just, who are you? What industry have you come from? How long have you been in sales? And how long have you been here? So we'll start with just a little bit of your background.
Okay, so my background is I always had a sales background, but just as far as being a life insurance agent, I got licensed at the beginning of this year, and I was actually started off with a company called Aflac, and I was with them for a couple of months, but I realized one of the reasons why I decided to look at different opportunities, even though I was doing fairly well with them, is that I realized that I was spending a lot of time in gas to go out and prospect, and I wasn't really getting paid for that. And I would still have to go out and get my own leads. And then I found out I had to still service the accounts even after I closed them. And then my whole day might be taken up once I have a business that I'm working with, that I'm enrolling all their employees. So there's a lot of time spent prospecting, looking for leads, and just generating my own leads. And I knew I was looking for something better. And I ran across Tailored Legacy online, and I've been with them for about a month now. And what really drew me to them is that even though I was interviewing or learned about other companies, I still didn't see why I would want to go into debt by paying for the leads. If I know if I work on myself and I do the best that I can with the opportunity, that I should be able to close. Because if other people can do it, then I can do it too. So I went in with that mentality. It was kind of it was like, okay, well, it's if they're paying for the leads and I work on myself and I do the best job that I can, then I should see results. I mean, I've been in sales before. I figured it out. It might take me a while to get the gist of it, but once I figure out my flow and how to get more comfortable with what I'm doing, then it starts to flow naturally.
So you kind of transitioned from the field to something where you can work from home, right? And you're a mom of how many kids?
I'm actually a mom of 5.
Mom of 5.
Yes, and I have 2 little ones. I have 2 that are adults, and then I have a teenager. That's a sophomore in high school. So
wow, okay. And then how young are the littlest ones?
2 and 3 years old. And that was a big reason why I decided that I wanted to do something from home, something that I could sell, that I can make a lot of money doing, and that I had flexibility as far as my schedule is concerned. And so that's why I chose Tailored Legacy as far as the opportunity and life insurance. So yeah.
Okay. So you've actually been with us. You onboarded July 11th was your first week, and we just started September. So you've been with us for about 7-ish weeks. And how many states do you remember of the 17 did you come in with? I want to say it was around 6.
No, it was worse than that.
What was it?
I only came in with 3 states.
3 states? That's it?
I could only start with 3 states. I didn't really have a lot of money to begin with all my overhead. And so I basically went for I got because you said I had to have 3 states minimum. So I just purchased, I think it was Virginia, New Mexico, Texas.
New Mexico. Yeah, Virginia.
And then
like $21.
I think I might have had Texas. So I had 4, but I purchased, I think 3 altogether. So it was
For how much do you think that cost when you came in?
I think I only had I only spent around $100 $100 or maybe $125 or something like that.
Okay. Just because I told you, you're going to limit yourself an opportunity
Right.
if you only come in with one state.
Right.
So let me pull up, I'm going to pull up your, some of your numbers, but basically your first week that you onboarded, you closed nothing. You had 0 sales, and well, you were out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You worked basically 2 days, Thursday, Friday, 0 sales, 3 hours of talk time. The second week, you came in and you closed 2,500 in annual premium, but you had 25 hours of talk time the second week because, we pay bonuses based on talk time and, conversion rates and stuff like that. And of the business did convert, you had a pretty good conversion rate. So we were able to bonus you some money and get you licensed in other states, a couple of other states. All right. So let's fast forward to the third week. The third week you're with us. Now you did 3,500 in premium. You bumped up your talk time to over 30 hours of talk time, which got you an even bigger bonus, which allowed us to get you even more states. So how hard was it putting in that much talk time, 25 hours, 30 hours of talk time with only a small amount of states? Because I tell people when they come in, if you put in an 8-hour day and you only have a couple of states, you might only get 2 or 3 hours of talk time in that day. So how did you do that? How did you put in so much talk time with limited opportunity?
When I got the calls that would come in, sorry, I have my 2-year-old that's making little noises. He wants my attention.
Okay. Everyone who's watching this, we have lives and we're just trying to manage everything the best we can. And I'm sure there's people that are going to connect with you that want to work from home, that have young kids, and look, totally good.
Okay. But so when I would get, it was, it was difficult in the beginning because I was just kind of, I felt learning a script or having the script there is really what helped me. The more and more I kept doing it, the easier and easier it would flow, the less and less uncomfortable it would be.
Right. Yeah. Because it's a long one. It's a long script.
Right. And then the more natural it would sound, and then it eventually becomes a flow of conversation that goes back and forth, and then it becomes a guide. Like I kind of went through that process where now it becomes a conversation, but then once we're having a conversation, there's dialogue back and forth, then I'm able to kind of now I use the script. I always use the script, but I go with the guide. And if they do go off or they take me off, they were having a conversation about maybe their loved one or whatever their experience was maybe before with planning someone's funeral. I always bring them back to whatever point that we were at on the guide, as on the script as a guide.
But when do you so to get that much talk time, you have to be putting in some good hours. I mean, you really do. So what time do you normally start? What time do you normally end? So
in the beginning, I was really, really wanting to work as hard as I could. I was waking up at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was logging in. And then I noticed that there were some people that would be, I think there was maybe only like one other person, and usually I was the only one, but I would log out. And then I noticed that maybe it wasn't so good to call people so early in the morning sometimes, because I had a Virginia license.
Yeah, so right.
Yeah, so it'd be 8 o'clock in the morning there. And then now I'm more 7 o'clock, and then I go on to about 5:30 to 7. Some like last night I had a call that lasted until 7:40, and I started at 7 o'clock in the morning. But it was well worth it because it ended up making my day. So I ended up making, like, just on that one sell alone, it was over $500. It's close to $600 just on that sell alone.
Yeah.
With my split. So yeah.
Right. So I think what I'm hearing is in order to get that much talk time to hit some of the bonuses, like you gotta show up and work. Like you're for the most part, at least at first, we're putting in 10, 12 hours a day so that you can hit those bonuses. So that way we can help you get licensed in more states. So let's fast forward because August, we just finished up August. We're now in September. August, you kind of like took off. You had like a 2.5 week kind of learning curve, trying to figure things out. What do you think stopped you from like giving up? Because sometimes people might come in for a couple weeks, not see any results, and jump to the next opportunity. What kept pushing, by the way? Because I'm going to go over your August numbers in a sec.
Well, when you're on the phone with someone, you can kind of tell where how the conversation's going and based off of other people's success that it's possible to, I always knew. And what really helped me is like when I was basically, I'm going to say it, like when I'm down in the trenches, that's what it felt like. Like if I'm not having, like I'm putting all these hours in and I'm not making any sense. Well, guess what I was doing in the meantime while I was dialing out? I had your videos pulled up, and one of the videos that I had listened to was the one that said about the discovery questions. It was like anyone can pitch, right? And but the most important part is the discovery. And I think that was a light switch that went off in my head, and it was like, if you're getting to the pitch part I think you're saying more like less than 13 minutes in, it's like, and you haven't really done it, like the discovery, it was like a light bulb that went off in my head. And I said, that's right. Before I even go into that, I need to make sure that this makes sense for me and it needs to make sense for them. And then it was that, taking the filling words into that initial part of the script when you do the recap.
Yes.
And then I'm saying, okay, so when I hear everything that they have to say, and I just make sure that, from what I'm hearing, I just want to make sure I got this all down right. And then I'll recap what they said, and I'll say, and it sounds like, from what you shared with me, this is how you've been feeling. And then I have this in place. This would give you peace of mind, knowing that if anything were to happen to you, the insurance will be there to take care of this for your family. Did I get that right? And they'll say yes. And then once I know that they realize how important this is, then it makes sense. And then I can move forward. So as long as it makes sense to me and it makes sense to them, why they're doing it, not just, why insurance is important. And they really feel the overall picture, and you say, well, what's the picture? Because I closed a lady today, and or this week, actually, not today, I don't know time. This week, a couple of days ago, I asked her, I said, well, what does it look like for your family if you didn't have, this insurance in place, or if you didn't have anything in place for them? But she said her husband, left her very well off. She was okay. And I was looking for a need. I was looking for a need. And I was like, well, I almost turned her down because I was just like, well, it sounds like I almost did. I was like, well, it sounds like you have, before I even move forward, it's almost like they're talking to me and they want me to go into it, but I need to know that there's a need there. And I was asking her questions. I was like, okay, but she sounds like she's very well off as far as having money in the bank. It wouldn't be that difficult. But the more I talked to her, I finally found out that her husband, she paid $20,000 for her husband's cremation. And that was the light bulb that went off in my head. And I got the green light because I found the need. Yeah. I've never heard of anybody paying $20,000 for a cremation.
And so then that's the information you needed to know how to sell her. So what you're saying is, after a couple of weeks of getting beat up on the phones, you finally realized that what I've been teaching this whole time.
Right.
Okay, I get it. Like you can't ask health questions in the first 5 minutes. You can't make this about who we are and what we do until you know exactly the full picture of the person you're talking to, so you know how to move them forward through the sales process.
Right.
So let's talk about August. Because something happened in August. You said you had a light bulb moment that turned on, but we also got you licensed in more states. because of how hard you worked in the first couple of weeks. So you had more opportunity. The first week of August, you did 9,500 in premium and AP, 39 hours of talk time, which is crazy. And you earned another $1,000 in, bonuses. And every week in the month of August, you've been close to the top, if not at the top of the leaderboard, and closed out August with over 42,000 in premium, which is a phenomenal first month. And I know that there's still so much to learn, especially, we just had our one-on-one yesterday talking about different ways you can approach different situations. So for a brand new agent to do 42,000 in premium really in their first month is pretty phenomenal. It's really hard to do even for seasoned agents. So besides just getting more comfortable with the sales process and the script, what else, do you think contributed to that success, being here at Tailored Legacy?
Well, I do take the time to listen to people. And while they're listening, you have to really be a good listener, and then making sure that you can tie the strings and somehow keep them. Because sometimes my conversations can go a very long time, but then they end up closing. But at the end of the call, I know, or at the end of my once I've done my presentation, when I ask them that question, like, what did they like, about what I said, and I'll be like, I liked everything. I'm like, okay. But what I've done differently too is I give them stories. So like through me being with Tailored Legacy and talking to all these different people, I've gotten a lot of different stories that I can share with people about, maybe when it comes to like the Funeral Consumer Guardian Society. As far as doing something different that I've probably done in the last 2 weeks is just tying these different stories where I might add an extra story in there so people understand. And I can tell that it makes an impact, because when I add the story at the end, they're like, oh, or they'll say, oh yeah, I don't want my family to experience that. Or
I'm going to interrupt you really quick, because you just said something really important that I want people that are listening to understand, that saying those stories is way more powerful when you say it at the end versus the beginning, when you really haven't earned their trust yet, right? Like, it's going to be way more meaningful and impactful when you've already learned about them and they've bought into everything you're saying, and now you introduce those stories. So I don't know if you realized that or not, but that is exactly the right way to do it. Doing it at the beginning, they still have their walls up and they're not going to be open to hearing that information yet.
Oh yeah. Well, I can always tell if someone's closed, and if I do feel that hesitation, like or the short answers or the cold, like they don't want to really engage. Mm-hmm. I'll figure out a way to. I think you said in one of your videos, you have to like find a way to humanize yourself. Right. That they know that, and I think that was another light bulb that went in my head, because you said something like, "This is what you said." You said, people are gonna look at you like a sales agent, like a car salesman. I think I might have heard you say that. And I said to myself, well, boy, I don't even like car salesmen. I don't want people to look at me that way. And so I made it a point to really be, just be the people person that I know that I am, and just really learn to connect and hear what they're saying, because the things that they say are important to them, not what we think is important to us. And so making sure that we're listening to what they're saying and then tying that into, the different parts of your presentation. Because when they tell you that they don't care about certain things, you don't want to waste your time talking about things that they don't care about, because if they don't care about it and they told you about it and it doesn't make for any relevance, they might end up hanging up on you if you're not listening.
So it sounds like you're having a lot of conversations. Yeah. You're talking to a lot of people. Well, you're now licensed officially in all 17 states. Congratulations. in a month and a couple of weeks from 4 states to 17. And you didn't have to pay for any of those. You actually earned 3,500 in bonuses in your first month, but you don't ever run out of people to talk to, right?
No. Matter of fact, yesterday was crazy. I was like, as soon as I got off the phone, it was like the phone was ringing, and I was just like, can I get I was trying to figure out, because I remembered you told me that you can disable the calls that come in. And so I'm still, by the time I get my notes in there and I hit save, then the phone, you could see that the phone's ringing. Sometimes though, during the day, there might be a little slow period, but you're not going to run out of leads. Just hit outbound calls, outbound calls, outbound calls.
Right. So when the inbound calls slow down, you have thousands really of people to reach out to over the phone. And in fact, the lady you I think you closed last night was an outbound. No, it wasn't. It was a transfer. Never mind.
Yeah.
But still, you're not limited to, I think some of the questions I get is, well, how many leads does each agent get per week? What's the answer?
They don't run. They don't run out.
No, they don't run out.
They don't run out. Matter of fact, you can log in and call out as long as it's, the hours are within the, time periods that you can call in your state, but you don't run out of leads. I mean, I've never had a time where I just didn't have anybody to call, because it just, as soon as I end the call, I just have another person to call. So it just doesn't run out.
and then you can basically do that until a live transfer comes in, and you just take that.
Right.
That's your day. So yeah, I think that's the great, thing about an opportunity like this is you never run out of people to talk to. And as long as you have the right skills to convert those opportunities when they come in, then it's sky's the limit. So
Right.
I had some more questions that I wrote down, but I did want to share with people, because everybody wants to know how much money can you actually make on a 50% commission, because, everybody is always advertised to and so concerned about, if you're not being offered 100%, then don't even waste your time. But it's like, what do you have to do to have the type of opportunity that you have here? Like, how much do you have to spend to get that? And then if you don't close them, where are you? You're in debt.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, for me, it was a no-brainer, because I was like, well, I don't have to pay for gas. I don't have to pay for leads. I can eat from home. So it's not adding anything extra.
Right.
And then I have all this. And then not only that, but then there's bonus money that you can make on top of that for just doing your job and working and putting in the time. So, and then as you get all those hours in, well, guess what? You're going to get better over time, and you're going to get better. So even though it might take a little while for you to get to a point where you're really comfortable with it, eventually, just like, well, this is what happened with me. It was, obviously a couple of weeks it took me to get there. But as I'm doing that now, as I'm getting the bonuses, then I didn't have to pay for all those extra states. So I really only came out my pocket like $100 and something to begin with.
It's so true. And it's so funny. I thought you had more. I mean, that's normal. I mean, that's even better, because it makes me cringe, honestly, if, people can't come in here with at least 5 now, is what I'm telling people. But I think the reality is you can come in with less than that if you put in the work. And
right.
I think
you have to put in the time.
You got to put in the time, you got to make the dials, because your opportunity will be more limited as far as transfers go when you only have 3 of our 17 states. So I know we don't have exact numbers, but we estimated that in your first full month, including bonuses, that you've earned, this is just in your advance, this isn't in your pay through, which is still 25% of your commission, right? That's paid over 12 months. With your advance commissions and your bonuses, that you've earned almost $14,000 in your first, since you started, which that's phenomenal. I think that, congratulations on that. I think that's very similar to what I earned when I first started in my first couple of months. And there's really absolutely no reason that anybody can't come in with a minimal investment in themselves and win really big. And the sky's the limit for you, Bianca. You're just going to keep earning more and more and more. I think the moral of this story is that when you touch people, right, and you don't, and you talk about the effects of what, Lincoln Heritage and the Guardian Society can do for their families, what's the cost of not doing something? Right. Even though you didn't say that, that's what usually goes on in people's minds. Like at the end of the day, they want to just protect their families. And is this the best, option for them? And that's why price doesn't matter. Right. That's why being a broker and having access to 14, 15, 20 different carriers, and you all think that selling on price is the most important thing. If that was the case, you would never get, I want to think about it, objections, right? Because it's not about the price. It's not always about the price, I should say. There's so much more to being successful in selling life insurance and being really good at it than just having the best price, right? Would you agree with that?
Oh yes. I mean, if you're doing a really good job, especially identifying their needs and tying that into, the Guardian Society. What other insurance companies out there that offers anything like the Guardian Society? There is none. So
there's one has something similar, but they don't have a program like a sales program like we do. So you'd have to go in there and buy your own leads and do the same thing, anyways, which is what you wanted to avoid. So last question, or a couple last questions. This is just regarding the sales process. Now that you've worked with me for a while, and I'm trying to teach you, how to be like top 1% agent. How much do you think you're focusing now on objection prevention versus objection handling? And what percentage of your presentations do you think are just, ready to go at the end versus you having to overcome objections?
I think I have like maybe 25% that I have to overcome the objection still.
That's not bad.
Yeah. And objection, so I kind of would know, like based on my discovery questions, what objections might come up. And that's where my training with you really helped me out yesterday. So you have a caller that says they want to have 100 and something thousand for their family when they pass. How do we, how do we know that term, how do we tackle that? Or what point do we tackle that?
Well, don't give away all the secrets. Just say we learned it. Don't give away all the secrets.
I learned, Dana shared with me, what to do. And I basically helped me even during that call, because that was one of the things that came up. So I knew exactly how to, that I was going to have that conversation and how to have the conversation. So it was.
You're like a sales ninja now.
Yeah.
Like, what to do.
So I can go to Dana, and because she's so experienced, she has this wealth of knowledge where she seems to always know the answer. She's like, oh yeah, this is, so it's great. So she helps, well, I'm going to just say there's just that scripture where it says iron sharpens iron. That's like me going to Dana, asking her, this is, what do you do when this comes across? Or what do you do when this and it really helps. So she was shocked to see me at the one-on-one. And I said, no, I'm new. I'm still learning. I can get better, every day. So there's never going to be a time where I feel like I know everything. Because definitely I'm always open to learning and making myself better, because there's always going to be different situations that come up, and just making sure I have those tools to be able to overcome whatever objections come my way and be prepared for that. So
there is no reason in the near future that you shouldn't be selling 20,000 a week.
Well, I'll be great.
That's my goal for you is, because you're learning now how to respond to different situations that we don't necessarily teach people on day one. Right? Because we're building that foundation for you to continue to get better. And, you should be closing 8 out of 10 of anybody you talk to that is a buyer, right? Because not everybody is an actual buyer. Not everybody has a checking account. So you're not going to be able to close everyone. But, my goal for everyone is to become the absolute best salesperson they can be, and sky's the limit as far as opportunity goes. So last question, and I will let you go to your anxious family that's waiting for you. What would you say to any agent that's watching this, that's kind of like struggling buying leads or having success wherever they're currently at, or maybe new to the industry and not really sure where to go? What would you say to any agents who are on the fence about, joining an opportunity like this where your commission is less than what other people might be offering for Final Expense?
Well, I mean, it's okay. It's a whole lot of things. I mean, I'm very happy because we have support. There's the training, the videos. We have weekly training. Dana does one-on-one trainings, but it was also for people that have to buy leads. They're not only spending those leads, but they're also spending their time to get there, to get back, gas, add that on top of it. And what happens when they don't close that sale when they go out there, and they've invested all that time that they can't get back, versus being at home where you don't have all those extra costs. And now you have a surplus of leads that you can, and not only that, live transfers that come in by interest, people who are actually looking to buy insurance. And so that, coupled with all the support that's offered, I feel that, to me, any business that you're in, there's always going to be, someone has to spend money or invest money, and even just to even service the accounts, and to do all the things that businesses have to pay for. And businesses have to pay for leads, businesses have to have all these, and somebody's investing somewhere. And so to me, even though it's 50%, it's still good money for me, because at the end of the day, there's days where I've made, I think one day I made, there's days like this past week where I made $1,000 a day. So I had 2 days like that. So it was close to like $900, and then add that onto, maybe I have a slow day, but maybe that day I had one sale that day, but then the next day I might have 5. Like, I think it was like 4 the day after. So it just depends.
How much
Wanting
money can you earn in bonuses every month?
Well, it's $1,750 a week is what you can earn. So, and the talk time, if you're putting in the time and you're talking and you're showing up, then that's $1,000, as long as your cost per sale is not too high.
As long as you're converting, as long as you're converting the opportunity you get, it's not that hard to have a good per sale.
Because your cost per sale, because in the beginning I was like, I don't know about the cost per sale, but you know what it is? It's like, as soon as you close one, then that number drops down.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So as long as you're closing, that number is going to drop down really low, because I think I've seen my cost per sale on one of your boards for this past week. It was either on Tuesday or Wednesday, and it was probably one of the lowest that I've seen. And it was like $170. At least for me, that made me feel good, because that means I'm doing something right.
Great. So you can earn pretty much $7,000 a month just in bonuses, and that money can't be charged back. Right. So if you're buying leads, you close a sale. If that sale charges back, not only did you lose your commission, but you also lost the money you invested in that lead.
Right.
Right. So, and just so you know, a lot of people are buying leads now and doing telesales, from home, but they're either doing it on their cell phone, or they're doing it from, a system that really isn't serving their needs, the best. The other thing too, and now we're talking about so much stuff, but the other thing that I think is really great about working with us is that you don't have to worry about compliance, right? Like, well, you don't really need E&O insurance, but the other thing is, I think it's really nice to know that everything that we do, all the leads that we generate, every outbound is all based on, state regulations. It's all compliant. Like, you will never get in trouble, nothing will ever come to you because everything we do is above board, right? Like we're not overly texting people. There's a lot of things that are being told for agents to do that could get them sued. And what good is an opportunity if you're just setting yourself up for a lawsuit? That's kind of stuff that I think about that maybe a lot of agents don't, but you're protected. But for texting, for example, like you can't just text people as often as you want unless that they're your customer now and they've given you permission to. But when you are with prospects, there's some agents that are sending 3-4 text messages a day. That's actually not compliant, and you can't do that. So as agents on this team, we'll never put you in a position to where, you could get in trouble and vice versa. So anyway, anything else you want to say before we both run back to our families?
I just want to say one last thing. One of the biggest things too that I think I've done over these last few weeks is just, taking what I was saying is just making sure that you're listening to the people. And then also, if you notice that that person's closed off, you really have to learn how to connect. Like you want to make yourself not seem like a salesperson, because that person might have their guards all the way. They're looking at you just like everybody else. Yeah. And you want to try to make them like they're talking to, you want them to feel comfortable talking to you. So that way, when you are having those conversations, that they're sharing relevant information with you, that can even help you. And I even had a sale this week that I took the time to actually Google and go online, because he says, well, I have an insurance policy, but it's through my bank. And I know because of the script that most banks offer accidental insurance. And sure enough, I Googled it and went on the website and took that time. So that I knew could have been an objection or a reason that he decides to maybe possibly at the end say, well, I need to, check into what I have.
Right.
And so I was able to actually pull that information up and see on there that it was all that bank offered, nothing else. It was just accidental insurance, does not cover, it says on the website, does not cover illnesses or if somebody got sick from COVID, for example, or natural causes of death. So, being prepared or getting yourself prepared, even as they're talking and doing, if you have to, you can just Google and get yourself prepared to have those conversations
Right.
with people. And so that you're adding relevant information to that conversation with them. Because like Jana says, you want to be that authority and the expert in the field. So, yeah.
That's exactly right. That is really great advice for anybody that's, watching and learning from you. So thank you so much for coming on today on this Labor Day weekend. And thank you for being part of this team and for sharing all your success. And I look forward to where you're going to be in 6 months and a year from now. It's going to be President's Club for you next year. I can already see. Can't wait.
All right. That'd be awesome.
All right, cool. Well, again, thanks. If you guys have any questions or you want to reach out to me, my contact information will be below, and wish everyone success. All right, bye.
Bye.